Well, the first person that I remember that took me fishing was my granddad. And he took me to I think it was called McCoy's Trout Pond in western North Carolina. And I caught a trout, and I have a picture of me. It's like, and I got this cane pole, and I think they gave you little marshmallows. And you're in a pond that's stocked, of course, but I was, little bitty. And I had a little Miami Dolphins little jacket on, and I got this trout hanging in there, and I was 3 years old. I remember catching that, kind of. But I do have pictures for confirmation, but that's the first fish that I ever caught in my life. And my granddad took me, so a long time ago. So I spent every summer growing up, we would send us to Grandpa and Grandma's house, and Daddy J and Mama J in western North Carolina. They had a cabin up in the Smoky Mountains there. Little bitty cabins where they spent the summers because they were teachers, so they had the summer off as well. So that was kind of nice. They had their summer off, got to ship the kids off, and my granddad would take me all up and down the Little Tennessee River, runs through western North Carolina, even into Tennessee there, and would stop at the little turnouts, and I would fish, and my granddad would read a book, and then I'd kind of fish that area, and he would get back in the car and drive to the next little turnout, maybe a mile down, and I would get out there and wade out knee deep in the shoals and the rapids, and mostly caught smallmouth bass, if you can believe it or not. And I used to use little live salamanders I'd catch on the waterfalls or in those streams around the cabin, and those are the most awesome memories of growing up fishing, is in the Little Tennessee River in western North Carolina. Fishing on the bank with my granddad. I was afflicted with the fishing bug early on, and that's, everyone has a passion, and that was my passion. If I was going to be outside, I wanted to be fishing somewhere. So I wasn't really necessarily species specific. If it bit my line and I could reel it in, I wanted to go catch it. So, I fished anywhere I could, ponds, creeks, never in a lake. Nobody in my family is a fisherman, what have you. Never had a boat or anything, just bank fished. And then when I was in high school, actually junior high, we had a friend down the street from our house. That's next door neighbor was a big time fisherman. He had a bass boat, and I think he had a 16-foot Dynatrac with a 90 horsepower engine this is in the 80s, early 80s, 83, 84, somewhere in there. And they finally talked this next door neighbor into taking me fishing. I'm sure he's like, man, whatever, I can take this punk kid, 13-year-old kid fishing. And he did. And thank God that he did, because his name is Kendall Lovett. He's from Waco, Texas. He's a great man. And he took me fishing and turned me into a diehard bass fisherman. The whole world of fishing opened up, and I just like, this is incredible. Get to fish out of a boat. This guy knows where to fish, what to do. He reminded me a lot of Denny Brower, because pretty much if he had a rod in his hand fishing for bass, he had a jig on the end of it. And that's how I got my start bass fishing, and I have been a diehard bass fisherman ever since. For good or for bad, that's the way it worked out, and I'm very happy and fortunate to still be in love with the sport of bass fishing and be able to make my living fishing for bass. So you never know. You never know. And on that same note, you never know who you're going to meet in life that you can influence like that, even if it's just a kid down the street. I was that kid. So don't ever take that lightly. Remember that.